Hello there, nerd brethren. How are you? It is Sunday. It is the 9th of November, 2014, which means it's another cup of tea with myself, an Englishman in San Diego. Welcome along. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. How's your weekend been? It's been stressful. It's been calm? Has it been relaxed? How's it gone?
Right.
My word. Well, last week we turned around and said that we were going to either have a nicely chilled out preparation for the badge sale or the aftermath, and that's exactly what we're going to have because, of course, it was the first hurdle to people getting their badges for San Diego Comic-Con 2015. It was the pre-registration badge sale yesterday on the 8th of November. Right, quick check on the timetable because I think we're talking 240 days to go to San Diego Comic-Con. So at 241 days, the clock started. This is when this is now where it ramps up, because yesterday was the test drive to the whole badge sale, which will also happen next year for the open registration for everybody else. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. If you are taking part in the Q&A, we would love to hear where you're watching from, and also if you took part in the pre-registration yourself. Get yourself into the Q&A. Let us know how it went. How it went for you, any horror stories. I'm sure we've got one or two that cropped up, although for the vast majority, I think it went relatively well. That's what we're going to talk about today. We've got three guests, all of which have got some unique perspectives on the badge sale yesterday. First and foremost, we have ourselves one of our regulars. We have Alyssa from the Friends of CC. Okay, what is it today?
It's still Friends of CCI, but we're making progress. I even got a new theme picked out for the so people who prefer a darker screen can look at the forum late at night without getting blinded.
Because I noticed you changed the Twitter handle, which is Friends of CC, so that we're getting there. Oh no, well, you changed the name. You haven't changed the handle. You're going one step at a time on this.
Yes, one step at a time, because that's how my brain works. It's all up here.
sounds
and especially this week.
Well, absolutely. We'll talk about the timetable of how it all kind of transpired very shortly indeed. We'll move on to another guest of ours. We have ourselves fellow Brit. Hello, Mark Serby, who's joined us. Nice Chemical Brothers t-shirt, sir.
Thank you very much, Leonard. And hello, everybody. My name is Mark Serby. I'm here to talk pre-reg and also to win American Idol.
Okay. Well, congratulations. Well, best of luck with that. First and foremost, you're going to have to work on the accent for a start. I think that's a given. Is there a speciality talent that you would like to show off today? What's your juggling like?
It's not very good. I can play quite a few tunes under my armpit, so maybe later.
This is going to be an interesting show. I think it's something you want to stick around for today. So you've got armpit bassoon coming up later on from Mark Serby. Excellent. We are going to be coming to you when it comes to the badge sale, because you've got your own one of the, I think, few glitches that happened yesterday, so we'll come to you shortly. And then we have ourselves Martin Burke from the Google Plus community for San Diego Comic-Con. Hello, Martin. How are you, sir?
Good, Leonard. Hi, Mark. Hi, Alyssa.
I want to know what that is on your head, sir, because we do obviously post this as an audio blog as well.
True.
So I want you to describe what that is on your head.
Well, it's a Mega Man hat, sort of it's a Mega Man helmet, but it's plush. It's made sort of like a knit hat. So yeah, it's got the things on the top. It's got the ear things. Yeah, it's actually really comfortable.
I can imagine it's also keeping the ear pods in for the headphones as well.
That was an unexpected bonus. Yeah,
it's serving a purpose. That's cool.
I like to bring something to make you laugh in the morning.
You know what? It works. It's fantastic. I myself, I am incredibly unnerd today. I am literally just wearing a black shirt, but I am wearing my poppy for Remembrance Day. So I've got that. I think the only bending to the nerd rules are I have the Comic-Con cup for my cup of tea. Hopefully you have your cup of tea to hand as well. Right. We have ourselves a number of people who have joined in on the Q&A. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, do keep let us know how if you did take part in the badge sale, how it went for you, and also how you've done with your badges. Yeah, you might as well share that if you would like to. Let us know whether we'll be seeing you next year. Right, let's very quickly run through the timetable of last week then. Tuesday. Now for us in the UK. It was around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We were all just kind of getting over the Star Wars news that had just been announced with the new title and everything. And we thought that was going to be the big nerd news of the day. At which point, at 2:30 on the West Coast, 5:30 on the East, and about 10:30 here in the UK, the emails dropped from Comic-Con International, letting everyone know that the badge sale will be taking part this Saturday. Just out of curiosity, because we turned around and said here on the Hangout that we kind of said that it was going to be the 15th. That's when I felt it was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to be this early in the month. Now, Alyssa, you're shaking your head. The forum called it. They said the 8th. Who's the person that actually turned around and said first? No, it's the 8th. Who's the one? Who's the one we need to be paying attention to for foreseeing in future?
I don't think anybody specifically. We can't track down who said the 8th first because we opened up our polls like 3 or 4 months ago, and a lot of people thought it was going to be back in August or September. So. And then people had to revote and all of that sort of stuff. But I think at this point we were like 3 or 4 to 1 that it was going to be versus the 8th or the 15th that we thought it was going to be the 8th. I know I was calling it the 8th for a long time. I know that there were other people on the forum who were probably even longer 8th advocates than me. We do conversely have a poll just started for when will Gen Reg be?
Oh boy, we do start sooner, don't we?
Yeah, there's no rest for the wicked.
Yeah. Dare I ask what's the front running date at the moment?
Oh, what is the front-running date for the moment? You're going to have to bear with me while I view results because I don't even know. I have not even voted yet. I think I'm thinking the end of January, early part of February. The forum is thinking February 7th is the forerunner at this point.
Yeah.
Up until March 21st.
Yeah.
So that seems to be the bracket.
Yeah, when they say that it's going to be early next year, we do think it is going to be very much in those first couple of months. I totally agree with that. I think they are they've proven with this badge sale that they want to get things moving and they want to get it over and done with and let everyone get a little bit more settled. Because certainly last year, well this year, 2014, when the badge sales finally happened, because it got so close to the hotel sale. And people were trying to organise flights. It just got so close to the actual event itself that people didn't have the chance to organise themselves. So I think they want to get it organised sooner rather than later. Absolutely.
Yeah. In addition, I think
that CCI really backloaded their staffing, and so they got really jammed with too many things to do too late in the season and needlessly wore themselves out. If they spaced it out better, had the badge sale earlier, I think that's what last year taught them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
What was that, Martin?
Oh, I was just going to say that they don't have the fear of their system anymore. I'm sure the last couple of years it was really hard to be the guy that pushed the button and said, we're going to do it.
Oh, I absolutely turned around. I absolutely believe that there's somebody at the Epic registration office that was sat there at 5 minutes to sort of like doing his best Heath Ledger Joker and here we go, and we're off to the races.
Yeah.
Let's see very quickly. Oh, so very quickly to finish the rundown of the week. So we had the emails go out on the Tuesday. On the directly after that, actually, they also linked to a Talkin blog post where they told people how the sale was going to progress, and they also did a tech post, which I thought was a brilliant. I think they really used social media fantastically this time round. It was just a really great way to keep everyone informed and also make them as prepared as they possibly could for the sale. That tech post was brilliant. Also the browser check as well. The not Internet Explorer 6. Nice touch.
Yeah. And the analogy to the bowl of Cheerios just was fantastic.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I tried to get Be the Cheerio trending. I did what I could. I did what I could. I just wanted everyone to be the Cheerio. Oh, fantastic. So yeah, they did a second tech email on the Thursday, and then left everyone a day to stew to get themselves ready for the Saturday. At which point, I think it's safe to say that for the vast majority of people, or certainly for Epic and for Comic-Con, everything pretty much went smoothly. Like Martin said, I personally think it was off the back of the previous badge sales. They knew the system that they had introduced protected themselves from any kind of faults or failures that could happen. Although I did have one or two people commenting that they had been kicked out of the waiting room. I had one at around 3:30. Well, I'm working on GMT, so 3:30 in the afternoon. So about an hour and a half before the actual doors opened to the badge buying processes. So there was a couple of people being kicked out of browsers. Did you hear of? Well, we'll go to Martin. We'll go to Martin and Alyssa first, and then we're going to come to you, Mark, on this one because you've got your own story. Did you start hearing of any glitches or any failures at all? Oh, what's that say?
Not the Cheerio. Sorry.
You are always.
I thought it was funny.
You are always my Cheerio, Alyssa. You know that. So yeah, did the forum report any glitches at all? Certainly leading up to.
I mean, to Mark, absolutely. I had 2 codes. I did not get in. I noticed right off the bat that it seemed to start slowly. We had a 40-person group. We didn't get anybody in probably for the first half an hour. So it really was that slow. I was kind of hearing about 5 or 6 other groups, and one of those groups did very well. Some of the others, there were very few people who were shut out. Most of our groups consisted of about, I want to say, 30 to 40 people. That seems to be the manageable size for us. I don't know if you were able, if anybody else was able to handle more people than that, but the logistics and the communication was crazy, especially like 45 minutes into it.
Yeah. I mean, there were a number of badge sale teams. I mean, I think yesterday certainly proved that the absolute key to the taking part in that badge sale yesterday was teamwork. I absolutely believe that. And I know that there's a number of people that are talking on the Q&A that also had that experience. You were talking about it taking a little bit longer than usual. I'm guessing this is from the 9 o'clock doors open, the badge process.
Right. Exactly. When the doors open, so to speak. An interesting thing, and I think that Yeah, so I think that, as they said, they let people in slowly. It took a while to sort us. They let people in slowly. But I also think that the whole Cheerio analogy of dipping a spoon into the bucket each time is really random. And some groups are not going to do nearly as well as other groups. And
Sure.
I think that that's what it proved to me with our group. But the other thing that I thought was interesting was the shift, and I don't know if anybody else caught this, and we could talk about this later after everybody else talks about the actual sale themselves, was the shift from 5 minutes, you having 5 minutes to select your badge type versus having 15 minutes.
Now, okay.
Which I don't know if anybody else caught.
No, well, actually, I think this is a bit of a confusion. I don't know if you caught this, actually. The 5 minutes, which it did put at the bottom of the page, actually referred to when the process opened. So when you had entered the waiting room, after they started selecting people and actually opened up the page for you to put in your badge ID, that's when you had 5 minutes to put in your badge ID. Once you actually entered, then you had 15 minutes. You did actually have the window.
The question that I had with regards to that is, does that mean you had 5 minutes to pick the 3 people?
No, what it was the 5 minutes to actually put in your badge ID. Because otherwise...
Okay, just that one ID.
I think what they did was they kept that window open for the badge ID, so that then they can open up the process further.
Yeah, no, and I think that inherently caused the speed up and the shortened length of the overall length of the sale.
People panicking, thinking that they only had 5 minutes.
No, but the fact that they could release, say somebody went in and they only selected a Saturday badge, and maybe I'm getting into minutia here, but they only selected a Saturday badge, that would release the Thursday, Friday, and Sunday badges for other people to buy earlier. That's how I thought it was supposed to work, and maybe I was wrong.
Okay.
Maybe.
No, I think
Alyssa, you talked a little bit about badge groups and 5 different badge groups and things. For those watching that don't have a group or don't work with groups, do you want to talk maybe just a little bit about how that works, just to give us an idea?
How ours work, and I'm sure everybody has their own method for it, is that we have 1 or 2 or 3 leaders per group during the sale, and the group that I'm in is very disorganized, which so I was trying to get a leader on who is very organized. From what I've heard in the organized groups, they have a Google Doc, and they start from the top and they work down. You've got one person calling out who gets a badge, if there's an extra slot available after you've taken care of your subgroup. So I would go into the grouping, for example, saying that I'm going to buy for me and my son. If I get in, I buy for me and my son +1. And the person who's in charge of the group would call out who gets that badge.
And what are your thoughts on, as far as people being in more than one group or what have you?
My thoughts are that will become evident. I personally had in my group, there was 1 or 2 people who didn't really adhere to the grouping, and frankly, that's an issue that is going to be dealt with.
Okay, so you're pretty strict about that then. Okay.
If you've ever been on the receiving end of an Alyssa glare, then you'll know that someone's going to be in serious trouble when this is all over.
Well, it's caused some problems, because there's people who do a lot for the groups. They organize, they're there year round, and they do a lot. And to my thinking, they should get preference. You know, if you're in there in the trenches, organizing stuff for people and really putting a lot of effort into it, and there's an extra slot, you should get that slot.
I would agree with that.
You know,
So
I mean,
Now, yeah, well, I was going to come to you next, Martin, because you organised a number of the. Now, I didn't realise how many people did you organise on the Google Plus community?
We definitely had 30 names on the list, I think, by the end. So we were pretty sizable. Yeah. And we had it all worked out. You know, I made the Google Doc. I put everybody in order, and we had the the names of the people that were active in the chat on the top, and then if there was room, then we had people's spouses and things down toward the bottom, and badge sales started coming through, and it blew up. People hiding under their desk, you know, it just it was insanity. Yeah, so I ended up trying to type in 5 different people's badge ID before I found one that hadn't already been purchased for. So, and I was supposed to be in charge of putting red lines through people's names, and that fell apart. And yeah, it really seemed like this year, like Alyssa said, it was slow. No one was really getting in. There was a lot of people saying, "Wow, I'm talking to 50 different people and no one's in," and then all of a sudden, boom, it just went. Yeah,
it's interesting because my kind of priority when I did my badge team, or I took my badge team, was all through Facebook, which, while I'm not the biggest fan of it at all anymore, it's certainly where I started when I came to Comic-Con fandom, and I started the UK attendees group, which is technically, well, it is my priority when it comes to the groups that I'm in. Now, it wasn't organised by myself this year. It was actually organised by one of the group members, Neil Williamson, who put together a Facebook page, a doc, asking for people who would be interested in taking part in the badge sale. Not only the people who would be wanting badges, but also people who had attended last year, but wanted to help with securing badges. We ended up creating teams of 4, which for the vast majority was 3 people wanting the badges, and one that 3 people wanting the badges, and the one that didn't want the badge but was willing to help. Then we created a master Facebook chat so we could keep a track on who had gotten in, how people were doing, and also once people had been bought, then they can cross them off the list. And it was kind of organised in little groups. So that's how the UK attendees did it. Things started happening around 10 past when the doors opened. I mean, we had reports of people getting badges and pretty much being processed from 10 minutes past 9, which I thought was incredibly quick. And from there, it really was just a domino effect. However, there were 1 or 2 hiccups, and we're going to go to Mark now, especially in regards to yours. Now, have you got any screen caps to hand at all?
No, I haven't. I've got them saved on the PC, but I mean, you retweeted a couple of mine yesterday, Leonard, which I'd taken on my phone. So if people look on your Twitter feed, they'll see a couple of. They're not great pictures, but you will see what I'm actually talking about on them.
Sure. This would be Englishman SDCC if you want to check this Twitter feed out. But yes, absolutely, go ahead. I mean, so when did the first kind of hiccup happen for you?
Basically, we logged into the waiting room probably around 4-ish, something like that, and had another browser session open listening to the radio. No conflict, it's not another tab or anything like that. And then probably about just after, obviously they were sorting people in, so just after 5 PM UK time, and obviously once badge sales were going through, I closed the other session down, and then so it flicked back to the main part where it was saying it's shuffling, and then when it refreshed after 120 seconds, the notice came up saying, "You have manually refreshed your page. You have now been placed at the back of the line." Now, I hadn't refreshed my page at all. All I'd done was close down a separate Chrome session. So I'm just wondering if that affected it, but it does seem weird that it would affect it. So I kind of thought, okay, right, we'll see what happened, because I had a laptop running at the same time as well with my girlfriend's ID on that one. So we were comparing the notes and everything, but whereas every 120 seconds the bottom piece changed to tell you obviously preview night's gone and things like that, on the main PC that we were using, which had come up with this message, that message was staying at the top. It didn't disappear, even though the second line, which told you preview night or, you know, the Fruit Loops or PJs and stuff like that, was refreshing. So it was difficult to know whether it was stuck or if it was something we'd done, or it was really difficult to know. And the thing was, it stayed there. I've got 3 screen caps, one from 5:05 UK time, one from 17 minutes past, and one from 28 minutes past, all with this at the top, basically. And that was not the one we got in. We got in via the laptop, actually. But, I mean, technically, I didn't refresh at all, because obviously you're not meant to, but this came up.
How bizarre. I mean, we've got a number of people that have turned around and said that they had been booted out of the waiting room. We've got a couple of reports of people who actually managed to get into a badge buying process, and although the badges are supposed to be locked for that particular process and that period of that process, I mean, we've got somebody on Twitter, which was Stephanie Barnes, that's Steph-ism. We had a hiccup. We didn't want preview night purchased Thursday to Saturday during the time it was selling out, and it said that there were 0 available. But then we didn't refresh and somehow got round it, and then all was fine. So it almost seemed like the system was protecting itself live, almost on a sort of like second-by-second basis. It was doing what it could to kind of protect itself. And I think that's pretty much what the entire setup that CCI has introduced is pretty much designed to do, to protect itself. Now, while we as attendees and hopeful badge buyers may see kind of the other side of that, where we're just feeling a little bit herded down the path, as it were, at the end of the day, it makes for less system crashes. It certainly doesn't have the setup that we had 2 years ago, where we had everyone just trying to climb down the rabbit hole and everything just falling apart almost instantly.
Leonard, I was going to say, one thing that came up from obviously my issue was it had already gone past the start, and it said there, you have been placed at the back of the line. Now, we've been told there is no back of the line. You are just in a group, and then you are moved into that group. So what does this mean? I don't want to cause anybody any anxieties or anything like that, but what does it mean? I mean, surely we're not at the back of the line. We're in a group, and that's it. It just, that group goes through.
Is it meant figuratively, perhaps? What do you think? What do you think, Alyssa?
Oh, I don't know, but I think it's a good question, because if they follow through with their analogy of the bowl of Cheerios, then you should all be just in that bowl as long as you've been verified. So the back of the line doesn't make much sense to me either.
Yeah, you would hope that it was something leftover, like a leftover error message that wasn't updated to the new system, as opposed to anything else.
Now, that might be the key right there, Martin. A leftover error message.
Yeah. Either that, or they just take the Cheerio out, put it inside of the bowl, and say, "I'm going to eat you later." Right. You just stay there and go mouldy. Yeah, very weird. Like I say, I for the vast majority of people, I think, I keep saying that, and I keep starting the sentence with that. For the vast majority of people, the sale went smoothly. But I think for PCI and Epic, it went smoothly. Obviously, people did have their issues in getting whether they got in at all. I was in a badge sale team myself with 3 other people. No, 4 other people, get it right. 3 that were after badges, and the 4th that wasn't after badge this year, but was helping. I had my wife's login and my login on 2 separate laptops, because my wife happened to be at work during the course of the badge sale, so I was taking her spot, as it were. Now, I didn't see the inside of a badge process at all throughout the course of the entire setup. I finally logged off at something like minute 110 of the entire process. Thankfully, we had a badge member, or a team member actually did get in and managed to get my badge. And like I say, that's where I think teams absolutely worked. We've got a number of people on the Q&A. Let's quickly go through a couple of their stories. Gary Quigley, I personally never got in, but one of my team members got in and managed to buy me a 4-day plus preview. Interesting that I logged into the waiting room at 3 and never got in, but my friend logged in at 4:45 and got in at 5:15. You're going to have to do the conversions for the times yourself. I'm sorry, but that's just the way. So, well, okay, logged into the waiting room at 9, and no, 7, and 7, and got in at a friend logged in at 8:45 and got in at 5:15. So
that's the way it's supposed to work, right? Like
No,
what they said was it doesn't matter when you get into the waiting room as long as you're there before 9. So that's what we would expect to happen. Would be it doesn't matter when you enter.
Absolutely. We've got Michael P. Hello, Michael. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I saw people posting after 5 minutes that they got badges. I think they did. They just launched. They did try and launch into it as quickly as they possibly could, because I think they saw. I mean, they can see the numbers that are logging into the waiting room, and they know just how eager people are to take part in this. Kurt Lacaro. For our 2 people that run our group, we put them as number 1 and number 2, so they get their badges first as reward for organising. Interesting. I think, as Alyssa said, it's you put the work in. I think, sort of putting it at the top of the list, top of the page. That makes complete sense to me. We have. I wasn't going to brag about this because, this could backfire on me rather badly. James Ormiston, UK attendees group did work brilliantly. If the chat did get a bit chaotic in the middle, and it did. Certainly when people were turning around halfway through the processes and saying, "Okay, I'm in. I've got slots available." And at which point you had people, me, and hands getting raised left, right, and centre. So it did get a little bit messy, but at the end of the day, we kind of worked through it. I mean, we had 30 people in that group and 100% 4-day badge success rate.
That's great.
That's great.
I think Martin and Alyssa, you're absolutely right. It really is a case of all coming together. It does work. Some groups are going to work better than the others. I think the UK group we did very well. Admittedly, just before everyone does jump on me, it was 4 days. We didn't do 100% on the 4-day plus preview, and I know that only really a handful managed to land the preview badge. So.
I'm wondering if that might be a strategy going forward. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't do preview night anyway, so it works okay for me. But if they do it the same way they did it last year, that leaves you eligible to log in again for regular registration because you don't have everything possible. So you're allowed to log back in, presumably to add preview night. But what it really does, from my perspective, is it allows you to log back in and help your friends who need regular registration badges. I'll have 3 slots available if it runs the same as last year because I can log in during regular reg and I don't care to add preview night.
No, that makes sense. In fact, a lot of people were talking that they weren't even going to bother applying for preview night this year because they do end up kind of handing out the stickers for preview night almost like confetti at some point.
Right.
That's so they don't consider. Not only that, but I will actually once again turn around and say that unless television shows are absolutely your priority and that one exclusive that you are after, once you've done preview night, I don't necessarily think that it's a massive priority. There is so much happening in San Diego that there are other things to see. So I know that.
Yeah.
I did see a couple of hashtags yesterday. It's 4-day plus preview or nothing.
Yeah, I would leave that open. If I were someone who was eligible for pre-reg and had family members or close friends that weren't, I would leave that preview night open to give myself that flexibility.
Sure. That makes sense.
Do we know the sort of rough figure for tickets for preview night compared to other nights?
I thought years ago I had heard a 15,000, but surely that can't be accurate for actual preview night.
I heard something like 10%.
Yeah, but I think that a lot of the comp badges get preview night, so you get, and they comp a lot of badges, a lot of sticky passes to the volunteers and to the locals in San Diego to get them access. So the actual number of paying tickets probably is relatively low, and the reason why you see so many sticky badges on preview night.
Sure. I also big advocate as well that I do think that they are doing their best to shave down comp badges to exhibitors, to press, that they're doing the people that are there kind of on as a exhibiting basis. They are wanting to try and get as many people who are wanting to attend the con into the building. So if it means giving comp badges to people who happen to be in San Diego on that Wednesday, I think they will do what they can to get them in the door. Yeah.
I did hear last year that the sticky badges were restricted. That it was harder to get a sticky last year than it was 2 years ago.
I'll also agree with. That was a bit of a change as well. This is one of my favourite stories from the Q&A. This is from Kurt Lecaro. In our group, we have a private chat in Facebook, and one of our members is studying in China, where Facebook is banned. So we kept her in the loop on Yahoo Instant Messenger. I think that's brilliant. I think
going back in time for that one.
any way to circumvent the restriction on the internet.
Yeah.
Full power to you. Excellent stuff.
You don't stop the nerds, do you? You just don't stop them.
We were also using Yahoo IM to keep the group leaders informed with all 6 of us for all of our different groups. That way, if somebody needed, like somewhat like your idea of having the 3 groups, if somebody needed one, if somebody from one of our 5 groups needed some. I did have another interesting tidbit that came up on the Friends of CCI Facebook page. If you're willing to let me read that, you have a moment.
Go for it.
This was from Angela York, and she posted in the Friends of CCI Facebook. It's a private area that we have on Facebook. If someone in your group gets to the buy screen, they must buy their own ticket. When person A inputs person B, who was in their own buy screen, so both of them were in the buy screen, person B's member ID would not validate when person A attempted to buy for them. Person A had 3 days available, person B had 2 days available. Person B could not close out of that buy screen and go to and have person A buy for her.
Oh man.
Yeah. So there are some quirks in the system, and that's just one of those things to stash in the back of your mind, kind of thing.
No, it kind of makes sense from CCI and Epic's perspective. I think that's you're right. That's just one of those.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things you just got to live with.
Yeah,
but it's interesting to know it, to note it, and to be aware of it.
Okay.
So.
This is referring to what you were saying, Mark, regarding you had radio in another tab, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Right. This is from Fernando Barago. I think I pronounced your surname right. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Fernando. Multi-tab browsers share Java, Flash. Closing a heavy scripted page, like streaming radio, can cause either Java or Flash to cause a page fault. When the browser faults, Chrome and Firefox will reload Java or Flash, which may have caused the page to refresh. So that's
interesting.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but it wasn't a new tab. It wasn't in the same session. It was a new session completely. So I had 2 Chrome sessions open. So maybe it still applies to 2 separate sessions.
At the end of the day, it's pulling from a Java and Flash code, which is just running in the system in the background. So good point. Thank you very much indeed, Fernando.
So the moral of the story is run your radio on a different browser.
Well, yes. I mean, I think the other moral, I would personally say the other moral of the story is don't run anything else on that laptop while you're doing
And then there's...
I mean, I'm going to very quickly, I may also risk upsetting some people now, but I'm going to say it because it just baffles me. I am going to be watching the unofficial blogs hangout that they ran yesterday. I can't work out how you can do this stress of watching the windows of whatever else you're doing, and perhaps watching Twitter as well, which I was. My thing was had the 2 laptops open. I had the Facebook Messenger on my phone. I had Twitter on my iPad. How on earth you're also supposed to keep an eye on the Hangout at the same time? It's just too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
This is why we agreed that we were going to do a post-sale Hangout. But to have any...
I tried to listen to their Hangout because my good friend Ben Kucharski was on there, and so I'm like, hey, I want to listen to this, and I had my laptop, I had my desktop, I had that going on the separate one. First thing that happened, I tried to type on my laptop when I was looking at my desktop, and I just said, forget it. I shut down the Hangout, I logged out of Twitter, and got right back down to the very bare bones. So I don't know how you could host one. I couldn't even listen to one.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like I did say on Twitter yesterday that I know that also this is something else I wanted to quickly address, because people have turned around and said, why are you applying for press and taking part in the pre-reg sale? At the end of the day, at this point, I'm just a prospective attendee. I haven't been approved for press, but as of if I get press, I won't be taking part in any badge sale, and I will be reporting on the badge sale. At the end of the day, it's the focus of what you're doing at the time. I think they are accepted as press at this point, so they did what they could to host the Hangout.
That could be.
Yeah. So, let's see what else we've got. Now this is something that Kurt Lecaro has pointed out, and I know that Alyssa wanted to very quickly bring this up as well. The whole thing sold out faster this year, and it did. 2013 for the 2014 event, the pre-race, then it sold out in something like I think it was 95 minutes. That was last November. No, it wasn't. January, February. Get it right. When the pre-race happened for 2014. Yesterday, the whole thing was done and dusted in 53 minutes. They just flew. Now, myself and Alyssa turned around and were talking about this before we came on air. I personally thought that it was perhaps because they knew the system was more robust, they opened up the floodgates a bit more, so just get things into the the badge buying process faster. Alyssa thinks possibly not. What did you think of that?
Help me, my brain is mush. Did I say that?
The sales happened faster this year.
I thought that they might have happened faster because they were able to release the badges sooner. So because of that whole 5-minute thing, and I guess maybe I'm still unclear as to this, but if you're saying, because how I thought it worked was that once you got in, you had 5 minutes to select the three people and their badges. And if that was the case, if you only had 5 minutes, that would shave 10 minutes off of the back end of holding those badges for 15 minutes.
Sure.
For everybody. Am I making sense?
That makes sense. I think.
But I'm not sure if the premise is correct.
That's absolutely right. Because the way I read it, because it was actually pointed out by Neil on the Facebook Messenger that he had spotted that you had 5 minutes At which point I took a closer look at it, and it actually read that it went from the moment that your screen changed from the waiting room to putting in your badge ID, that you had 5 minutes to put in your badge ID.
Okay.
Once that 5 minutes was done, then they would either close that window down and allow somebody else to put in their badge ID, and that would move things along.
Okay.
But as far as what I also read in the paperwork on the CCI website, that once you had entered your badge ID, then you had 15 minutes that those badges were locked for that actual process once you'd entered the badge ID. So that's how I am.
So the time that it took, so say somebody walked away from their screen to go to the bathroom, they had 5 minutes.
Correct.
And maybe because they were able to shave enough time off of that because of those people, that's what made the sale last less time.
Sure.
Double negative.
That's how I read it.
Who the hell is going to the bathroom at that point? In their
I know.
badge
I was in my chair for 10 hours yesterday with all the social stuff.
No, you're not on your own.
Because I do the CCI Facebook page too, so.
You're not on your own. I just couldn't. I was sat there. I had a bowl of Cheerios. And
that's perfect.
It was when I was nibbling through them, and I suddenly realised, Christ, I've eaten a lot of Cheerios in an hour. It was got a bit ridiculous. Yeah, very strange. Something I did want to point out before I forget, because nobody's mentioned it on the Q&A yet. If you did go in pretty early doors to when the waiting room and the links became live, then you had your time in the waiting room, and like you say, people did, like myself, sit there and watch the whole thing. Did anyone else think that the yellow bar updates were some of the most hilarious things ever put on a CCI website? I thought it was, whoever was manning that deserves a gold star. They deserve a special hamper in their Christmas box. It was brilliant. Was there a favourite one of you guys out of the ones that you saw?
I love the Deadpool ones, but Deadpool PJs. That was because I was awfully tempted to do this hangout today in my PJs. So, just carry on the tradition. But I think that they put some effort into it. They put more effort into it this year than they had in the past because they realize how captive an audience they have for it.
Not only on the yellow tab, but also on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
Martin, was there one that you can remember that piqued your interest?
No, everything was a blur from yesterday. I remember enjoying them, but honestly, I think I still had adrenaline in my system 6 hours after that thing was over yesterday. It was a rush.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you spot any in between your internet radio and your Windows open, Mark?
I mean, I don't watch the program, but I thought the Arrow one was very funny. Which team do you choose and stuff like that. Thought that was very good. So, I quite like that one.
Yeah, I am going to take this opportunity to bow my head, considering that the update that came up was avert your eyes, Marion. Don't open them for. Basically, it was a Raiders of the Lost Ark reference, and it just sailed completely over my head, and I can't believe it happened. I put it on Twitter and went, okay, I'm going to admit I didn't get that one, and everyone just went, really? Dude,
you just weren't keeping up with the Joneses.
Oh man. At which point I was just going, everyone was just going, dude, it's a Raiders reference. What the hell? And I'm just going, okay, I'm going to go and close my website down now, and I'll go and sit over here and just hand in my nerd credentials. Oh, I can't believe I missed it. I can't believe I missed it. Okay, one or two more from the Q&A then. Kurt Lecaro, my daughter's spinning wheel froze before registration started. tried refreshing. It was a no-go. Ended up logging out and going back in. So there were one or two hiccups, absolutely. It just, but they were few, I think, and far between. But the ones that did, I mean, everyone's just going to kind of panic, absolutely. And that's, I think, when something like that happens. I mean, I can only imagine, Mark, what went through your mind when your hiccup happened.
Well,
right.
you know, I mean, my girlfriend was sat next to me. She's the voice of reason. So, whilst I was panicking, she was calming me down, saying, "No, it's all right. We're all right." I was like, "Okay, fine." But look at this message. What does it mean? What does it mean?
And there she is going, sort of like doing whatever else she's doing in the room, just going, "Calm down, you. Good grief." Yeah, okay. That's what girlfriends are for. I appreciate that. Okay, now a good question from Gary Quigley, actually. And I'm going to hopefully turn to one of our watchers. Travis McIntyre, I know, is watching the show. He said that, and I tried to check my inbox. Has anybody received barcodes yet?
No.
Not me.
No? Okay, so we're talking a no. I think Travis
72 hours?
I know.
72 hours?
Yeah. Travis asked
Yeah, I saw some tweets saying they had theirs already.
That's what I mean. I have seen some tweets saying that they've received them.
I just got my receipt this morning.
Right.
So it's taken a while.
Okay. If you have received your barcode, we've got another 5 minutes of the Hangout. Do let us know if you received that. Gary, we have no idea. But, yeah, the 72-hour window is when it's supposed to happen. One or two people turning around and saying that they've managed to get their badges, so they're just happy. Dan Berry, hello, Dan. Now I have my 4-day plus preview. It's all good. Yeah. Hey, you know what? I think everyone's just... Yeah, once they've actually got that screen saying that they bought their badge, it's just like, yeah, this was no big deal. Yeah, I've got mine. I'm fine.
And it's so nice to have it happen earlier this year. Sure. Having it happen in the spring was just awful.
Yeah. And that's why I think that CCI will be looking at February, early March at the latest for the Gen sale. I did hear about one error on the speaking of the Facebook page. I heard about one error on that was reported. The person sent it in to hello.
Oh no, I'm saying hello to someone else who's passing. Go on, I'm listening. I'm listening. Go on.
They sent it into CCI, and within a couple of hours, CCI had called them back and was asking them about the error. So I think that's a good indicator of how many errors were sent in, which is why, Mark, I was kind of I kind of had hoped that you had also sent yours in, and that you had gotten a response from CCI about what had happened. But I did not see the errors on the Facebook page like I'd seen in the previous years. Mostly the complaints are about people who are not eligible for pre-reg. There are people who think that one group should be giving preference over another group. Locals versus people from away. Fill in the blank. Pink versus purple.
Yeah.
Whatever. But it was that kind of thing. There was one suggestion
people
which made a lot of sense.
People who correctly use the hyphen. If you don't use the hyphen, you don't get preference. Those who had actually shaken the hand of Stan Lee, they deserve.
Nothing makes people more paranoid than true randomness.
Right.
True randomness just looks like it's against you every time.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh man. No, I will turn. I'll back you up on that, Alyssa. That when the tweets that I had seen, that if people had faults and they'd contacted CCI, they got back to them really quick. I thought that was impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Travis McIntyre saying, I applaud CCI and Epic this year. Yeah, I will as well. I'd love to try and get someone from Epic on the Hangouts, but they are very much, they keep themselves to themselves and just do what they need to do. So that's cool.
Yeah.
James Ormiston has turned around and said, I had 3 Chromes open, Facebook, CCI, Waiting Room, and Netflix. Won't be doing that again after hearing that could screw you over. Yeah, it's possibly a wise idea. Kurt Lecaro basically saying what they had gone. My daughter, Junior, got 4-day with preview night, while I've got 4-day without. So I'm hoping for preview night during pre-reg. That must be one of the most terrible things for a grown-up to do, especially a big Comic-Con fan. If, say, you don't, I mean, fingers crossed for you, but if you don't get your preview night badge and you send in your junior badge daughter in to enjoy preview night while you go and wander around San Diego, that must be heartbreaking. Oh, well, thank you very much, Adi, for your story, Kurt. Let's see what we've got.
On the back side of that, I've already used at least twice the I can refund your badge to my 15-year-old son. And it's not even been 24 hours yet.
Good point. We've got Neil Williamson, who's actually joined us on the Q&A. Hello, Neil. Hi, Leonard. Just to clarify on the 5 minutes, what I was saying is exactly what Alyssa was saying. So perhaps it wasn't. I think I might have to send an email off and just clarify that. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I was reading the instructions on the Toucan blog and on the CCI website, and it was always talking about 15 minutes windows. So I'm still thinking that 5 minutes was from when you had your window open to put your badge ID. I will do what I can to get some clarification on that. We'll see if we can do that for next week.
There were a lot of sites that posted things this year as far as helping out. You know, in addition to Comic-Con's own pages with all their tips, which were excellent. A lot of blogs did too. But I wanted to say that probably the most helpful thing you could do would be go to Alyssa's site. Go to Friends of CCI, because you can ask questions as well as read things. You can read all the tips you want, but you're always going to have a question. And those people are fantastic. They're welcoming to new people, which so many sites aren't, and and you can that's where you can find badge groups if you don't have them, and you can understand what badge groups are if you don't know. So definitely, it's getting more and more technical and more important that you know what you're doing in order to go to Comic-Con, and Friends of CCI is the place to do that.
That's very sweet. Thank you so much, Martin. That's
You're
great.
welcome.
And that really was what the site was founded on, was everybody has got a question. They've all got their own take on an issue, and to be able to ask the question with your own little quirk really makes people feel good. And I'm glad that's how it comes across to everybody out there too. That's sweet. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, I will always talk in your corner on that one as well. I do. I think it's something that I want to talk about in a later hangout or a future hangout. That the support system when it comes to the internet community for Comic-Con really is all about supporting and helping as best we can, and that's pretty much what this show is for as well, to provide a little bit of support to anyone that wants it. I know that I want to come back very quickly to Mark, because I know that people we've got 1 or 2 people on the Q&A that are asking about the screenshots and also asking about the issue that you had. Where can people find you on social media, sir, so if you want to share those pictures again?
I'm on Twitter at Mark_Searby, which is SEARBY. You'll see like a half picture of my head there. I'll retweet it in a little bit, and I'll tweet it to you, Leonard, as well, so you can retweet it, so you can see the pictures on there.
Brilliant, thank you. And yes, where can people find the forum, Alyssa, at the moment? Before it all changes, because I know that there's links and everything that's going to get changed. So. friendsofcci.com/forum. There we go.
Is the place to find me.
If you have not got yourself membership to that forum and you're listening to this now, we're going to finish in a couple of seconds. Go away and go and join that forum, because it
the neat thing is that you could just read about whatever interests you. Personally, I love the toys. I love the collectibles, the comics, the movies. Has anybody seen Interstellar this weekend?
Yes.
That's high on my list of if I get out of my PJs, I may actually go see it.
Right. Go and see it. It's a great film. It's epic. It needs to be seen on the biggest screen you could possibly can. However, I will also say that I think it's beautifully flawed. I think there's some very fundamental issues with that film. I'm going to be writing up a review this week. I think it's sixth form of like high school philosophy that's been expanded upon now that he's got a nice big bucket load of cash to play with. I've got some issues with that film, but I still think it's worth seeing. I mean, it's like 2001. I mean, people turn around and say that it is his 2001. Christopher Nolan, this is, and to some degree that's right, because Stanley Kubrick was aiming for something extremely beautiful up on screen, and you can't deny that 2001 is a beautiful film, but it's flawed, and so is Interstellar. There we go.
No, it's not.
Now, Mark is the one that actually does reviews of films, so go for it, Mark. What's your opinion?
It's a masterpiece. Plain and simple, it's a masterpiece. And the thing with Interstellar is, it will become more apparent that it's a masterpiece the more you see it. I can guarantee on the second watch you will find it even more interesting. I saw it yesterday at 9:30 in the morning, and I'm going to be honest now, I cried twice.
Okay. Well, I teared up, but then again, I tear up at the end of Lilo and Stitch. So, what's that tell you? Okay.
You and me, Leonard. This is not a podcast for the manly man, apparently.
If you're in touch with your inner child, then this is the place for you. And where can people now? I obviously go and check out friendsofcci.com/forum, but also we would love to have you join us on the Comic-Con Google Plus community, where you can find myself and Martin quite regularly. Where can people find you generally, Martin?
Well, I tweet from time to time, Martin SD. It tends to be a little more San Diego focused. If you want to know about how we don't have enough bike lanes or that we have a great new brewery, come on by the old Twitter feed. But I would say if you're, for Comic-Con information and just con information in general, because I do go to a lot of other cons, WonderCon, Star Wars Celebration, Stanley's Kamikaze, all those. Check out our Google Plus San Diego Comic-Con community.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed to my guests today. I've been reading the Q&As. I know that one or two people are saying that they didn't get what they wanted. They are asking how to best secure the badges, which they didn't get, hopefully in the Open Reg when that takes place at the beginning of next year. At this point, we just don't know. We can only speculate at this point, and I'm not one for speculation to that kind of a degree. I don't want to say something that it may not be strictly true for future Hangouts. But we will say that we will keep our eyes open for any information when it comes to people who have gotten a number of badges, or perhaps a 4-day badge, that want to find out how to get preview night. We do want to keep an eye on which badges are going to be eligible for the open online badge sale next year. I do know that, like Martin and Alyssa has said, that if you didn't have your full set, that you were able to take part in the badge sale, but I was also under the impression that if you had the Saturday, that you weren't eligible. So we are going to keep an eye on what the state of play is for the open online.
I think that Saturday thing is an old rule.
An old one.
Yeah, I don't think that's applicable.
Okay. Right. Well, I mean, we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll obviously let you know. We'll also keep an eye on when we'll be tweeting. Obviously, when the barcodes start going out, we'll also be keeping an eye on when the badge sale is going to happen. Do let us know if you hear anything. You can find me on Twitter at Englishman SDCC. You can also use the hashtag CupOTSDCC to attract my attention. I've got an alert on the on my system to let me know if you want to talk about the things we've talked about the last hour before next week. And also you can find me on Google+, which is google.com/+an Englishman in San Diego. Thank you very much indeed to my guests. Hopefully we all kind of we've talked the pre-rage sale now. Now on to the open online badge sale. Let's all keep fingers crossed for those people who didn't get their badges, and hopefully we'll keep you informed, especially if you are a first-timer or if you weren't a returnee for this badge sale. Hopefully we'll keep you informed on how the open online will take part next week. Next year. Sorry, I'm starting to fry at the edges here as well. I do apologise. Let's just wrap things up and say thank you very much indeed. Take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Mark is doing the ideal radio show or audio version, just waiting. Thanks for that, Mark. I appreciate that.
It's all right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.